And welcome again to Cottage Talk. This is a special episode. I'm calling it Cottage Talk, the State of Fulham Football Club, the uncertainty at the top. And I'll be talking about three huge individuals of Fulham Football Club. That would be the owner, Shahid Khan. That would be the head coach, Marco Silva. And that would be the striker, the main striker of Fulham Football Club, Aleksandar Mitrovic. All three very important to Fulham Football Club. And I'll be sharing my thoughts on what's going on with them, how I feel about them in the next 20 to 30 minutes. And I look forward to sharing that with you over the course of the show. As always, please do subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. It does help other Fulham supporters find us. Also, if you do listen on Apple Podcasts, please do leave us a review. Would highly appreciate if you would leave us a review. Okay, before I talk about the triumvirate, and I'm talking about these three as a triumvirate, all three extremely important to Fulham Football Club. The reason why I want to really talk about them is when I look at it, I think it's important to have strong ownership. I think it's also very important to have a very good head coach manager. And I think you need a goal scorer, a striker. So all three individuals are very important to Fulham Football Club. And I think they're linked. I am a fan of the New England Patriots, and I talk about this all the time. Different sport, American football, the NFL, that the owner, the head coach, and the quarterback are all extremely important. If you have all three in place, you have a chance to win. I'm going to say the same thing here with the Premier League. You need very good ownership. You certainly need a really good manager, and you need a goal scorer. Fulham, I believe, have all three, and I hope they will continue to have all three. And I'll be sharing my thoughts on them upcoming very shortly. I also want to mention a couple things. Myself and Max Cohen will be at Fulhamish Live coming up. Geez, it's unbelievable. It's coming up very soon in 6 days. It's going to be on Saturday at Milk Boy Philly at 1:15 p.m. in the afternoon. If you are going to be in Philadelphia for Fulham's match and are around on Saturday, please do check out Fulhamish Live at Milk Boy Philly. And there is a link on the Cottage Talk Facebook page, on the Fulhamish website, on how to get tickets. Certainly would love to meet all the Fulham supporters. I look forward to meeting Sammy George. Of course, I've met Max before, but I really look forward as well to meeting all the Fulham supporters, everyone that's listened to Cottage Talk. I just want to say a big thank you for that. Okay. Want to mention a couple things to go along with everything on this show. My thoughts on Fulham this season, I've said it before, and I'm not changing my mind on this. I truly believe once the dust settles, Fulham will have built a club good enough to contend for Europe. Now, obviously, it doesn't look like that right now at all. Not at all. It looks actually like I could be very wrong on this. But the movie is just started, and we need to see how it finishes before we actually look back and see if I'm have a chance of being right. But I think once the dust settles and we are at the end of the transfer window, I think Fulham would have built a very good club that can contend for Europe. I truly believe that. But there are factors that go along with that, bringing in players potentially leaving, the manager, the owner. A lot goes into it. But I'm not giving up my faith that Fulham Football Club will be in place to build on what they did last season, not just survive in the Premier League, but build on it. There's a lot of work to be done. And that's going to lead me to talk about what hasn't been done so far. And this is fact and not opinion. Fulham have not made one signing yet. I'm about to leave for Philadelphia on Saturday for a match a week from today, Fulham against Brentford in the Premier League Summer Series, and Fulham have not added one player. They re-signed Anthony Robinson, which is great. They've not added one player. This is not good because you want to be able to add the players as quickly as possible to your squad. Fulham need upgrades in many places, and they've done nothing at this point. So that obviously goes to how many will think that I'm going to end up being wrong by the end of the transfer window. But I just want to just preface that the fact is they have not made a signing, and they need to start making signings because they need to integrate them into the team. They absolutely do. But there are, I believe, a good amount of factors of why there has not been a signing yet. I hope that signings do come sooner than later. But I still believe once everything has settled down and we are into the season and the Premier League transfer window has shut, we're all going to look back and say, you know what, Russ, I think you got this one right. So we'll see if I'm right or wrong. I am an optimist. So let's see if I end up being right or wrong on that. Okay. So let's go talk about the triumvirate. And we have to start right at the top with ownership. And I just want to mention this because it's been 10 years of the Khan ownership of Fulham Football Club. There have been ups and downs. There absolutely has been. There's been a huge learning curve when it's come to Shahid Khan, then later on Tony Khan. But if you look at it as a whole, they have put Fulham in a good position to succeed where they are right now. It's, like I said, it's been a roller coaster ride. But overall, in my opinion, it's been a successful ownership over 10 years. There have been some really bad parts of it, but there have been some very good ones as well. And moving forward, I actually, like I said, I feel strongly that the Khans are the right owners for Fulham Football Club to push them forward. So that's going to leave me talking about the speculation on social media and on the internet that Fulham Football Club could be for sale. And let me just say could be. These are all internet and social media rumors. There is nothing in the press. There's nothing that really you can really read about, except there are rumors out there. And I think some of them are coming from a document that actually I've seen myself. It comes from Company's House. And on the document, it actually talks a little bit about how the date that Fulham Football Club, it's a cessation details was 12/12/2017, which is very interesting. Again, so that date has gone and passed. And then there's a register entry date, which was June the 19th of 2023. So it's very interesting that it was registered then. I've heard different things about this. I've heard from different people on it. Some that say there's nothing to it. Others say, well, maybe there is. So I'm just going to present it the way I am seeing it. This is strictly rumors, absolutely strictly rumors. And what I'm hoping is that all it is rumors, because I want the Khans to own Fulham Football Club for a long time. So I'm just hoping that these are rumors. You need solid ownership in the Premier League. And if they were to sell, say they were to sell this year, I want you to think about that, because I've looked at other clubs that have changed ownership, and there's usually a learning curve, even for the very good teams. Look down the street at Chelsea. Look how much they struggle. If Fulham changed ownership right now, I think it would be a very bad omen for Fulham Football Club that potentially could lead to relegation. I don't want to change in ownership. I also believe in the Khans. I know they have their detractors. I get it. I totally understand it. I understand the people that don't like Tony Khan being the director of football. I get that. There have been some very bad moments during his tenure, but there have also been some good moments as well. But I do get why there are supporters that don't like Tony, don't like the way he does things. So I understand that. However, I do think overall the Khans' ownership has been a successful one, and I don't want it to change. So I really do hope that Fulham Football Club is not for sale and that this is just strictly a rumor. I'll just leave it at that. I think it's important to have strong ownership. Fulham Football Club already have it. They absolutely have it with Shahid Khan as the owner of Fulham Football Club. That's number one of the triumvirate. Number two is Marco Silva. So let's talk about Marco Silva, because I think Marco Silva not signing a new deal is a factor in why we don't have a signing right now, a new signing for Fulham Football Club. if you are a potential player that wants to come to Fulham Football Club and you have uncertainty with the manager being in the last year of his deal, why would you want to come? So I think that is a factor here. I think potentially, if I'm reading between the lines with Marco, he's probably waiting to see who Fulham can sign. But the problem is, if Marco isn't signed long term, players might not want to sign with Fulham Football Club. So it's this strange catch-22 that I predicted about a month ago is now, I believe, playing out. So unfortunately, Marco's uncertainty, I think, in my opinion, is affecting their recruitment. So I do hope at some point Marco will sign a new deal sooner than later with Fulham Football Club. I hope that the Khans back him getting the players that he wants. But I think the longer Marco does not sign a new deal, I think the harder it gets bringing in players. I absolutely believe that. Fulham have been linked to so many different players, but nothing has gotten close to over the line in the media. Maybe behind the scenes it has. So I think it's important not just to have strong ownership, but you need a strong manager. Fulham already have that. But they also need a manager that's committed to Fulham Football Club. And right now, there's an uncertainty because he's going into the last year of his deal. So my hope is that Marco does sign a new deal, and I really hope it happens very soon. So with that situation, I think that is also causing a problem with recruitment because if Fulham really want to push on, they need upgrades. And I think Marco has huge ambitions. I also believe the Khans have huge ambitions. They have big targets. But I think it would be helpful if Marco signed on the bottom line so potential players that wanted to come to Fulham Football Club would know that he's going to be here. So let's hope Marco signs a deal sooner than later. I think it benefits him. It benefits the club. It benefits the players. It benefits everyone if Marco signs. But the uncertainty is hanging over Fulham Football Club, and I believe causing problems. Okay. Coming up next to end the show, I'm going to talk about Aleksandar Mitrovic and the uncertainty with him. Okay. To finish up this episode of the State of Fulham Football Club, the uncertainty at the top, I've gone through two parts of the triumvirate. Now is the third with Aleksandar Mitrovic because you need a goal scorer. You need a striker. So the situation with Mitro that we're seeing in the press, we're seeing on social media, again, this is speculation. Reportedly, he wants to move to Al Hilal. And based on what I've been reading, there have been 2 bids rejected so far for Aleksandar Mitrovic. Again, this is speculation, but reportedly 2 bids have been rejected, and they could be coming in for a third that's going to be much larger. Then Fulham will have a decision to make on that. Okay. So I've made my case on why I don't want to sell Mitro. I don't care if he's unhappy. I don't care about that at all. He signed a contract. He has 3 years left. Sorry, honor your contract. If you're in the final year of your contract, I get it. I get it at that point. I think then you have the advantage. You have the leverage. You can say, you know what? Get something for me. I want to go. But you signed a long-term contract, Mitro. Honor your contract. You still have, like I said, 3 years left. It's not like you're in the final year. 3 years left. So you might want to go. And the money might be great. It sounds like it could potentially be great. But I think that you should honor your contract. That's how I feel on that. Fulham before Mitro, because I've been asked this question. Well, what if you were offered that money? Would you take it? Would you take it? What would you do? And I would do what Mitro did to a point. I would go to Tony Khan. I would go to the powers that be at Fulham Football Club if this was me, if I was Mitro. And I would do what he probably did is say, listen, can you accept the offer? I really want to go. And then if it came back to me that Fulham said, no, I'm sorry, Mitro, Russ, in my case, me, you have to honor your contract. I would stop it right there. I'd say, okay, I'm going to honor the contract because I signed it. I signed the contract. That's how I am. I would then move on. I wouldn't be upset at the club because I would understand where the club is coming from. And then I would continue to do my job for the next 3 years because I signed the contract. I might have a better offer out there, but if my employer doesn't want to let me go because they really can't afford to let me go, I would understand that. I totally would understand that. Would I be happy about it? Probably not, but knowing me, I would get over it. And I truly believe that he would need to get over this and be a professional and play for Fulham Football Club. Fulham should not be selling Aleksandar Mitrovic. I don't care if they give 50 million plus. They should stay out of the game of replacement. They need to get in the building game. So for me, I really hope Fulham continue to stand their ground and not sell Aleksandar Mitrovic. The indications I've seen so far is they've made it known that he's not for sale. But as the price goes up, if the bids go up, we'll see if they can keep their nerve. And I think they should keep their nerve. And I think Fulham need to keep Aleksandar Mitrovic. Can they find another striker? Absolutely. But that should not be the focus. The focus should be building, not replacing. Right now, they need to be building. So that's how I feel on that. Fulham do not have to sell Aleksandar Mitrovic, period. They don't, and they shouldn't. I made that stand on the last show, and I'll continue to make that stand. Okay. Well, that's going to do it for this quick episode of Cottage Talk. The state of Fulham Football Club, the uncertainty at the top. And when I'm talking about at the top, talk about what I feel is the triumvirate. The owner, the coach, and the striker. That to me is the uncertainty at the top. And what my hope is that all three are intact when the season begins and for a very long period of time. Because to be a success in the Premier League, just like I mentioned in the NFL, you need strong ownership, you need a strong manager, and you need a striker. Fulham have all three. They need to stay intact. And I'll just leave it at that. As always, please do subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. It does help other Fulham supporters find us. As always, Cottage Talk is part of the talkSPORT Fan Network. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Cottage Talk. Thank you, as always, for watching and listening to Cottage Talk, part of the talkSPORT Fan Network.